With Rite of a 9 just a week away, you might be in a similar situation to me. You have, quite reasonably, not completed a Ghost of a Deep dungeon run in quite a long time. I'm not sure what to bring in with you to most effectively farm. The meta has shifted a lot since its release. Enough so that when I played through it on Master, which is the closest we currently have to a contest dungeon mode, we was able to one-face Simmumah without much effort. This video will be from a Titan's perspective, and for each encounter I will leave a dim link in the description if you want to use it or tweak the setups used throughout. And since no swap will be active, no loadout swaps will be utilised during encounters. So, the first encounter. Combat difficulty in this one is low, with the most difficult enemies being Lucent Hive Guardians and a mini-boss wizard. The enemy spawns are also perfect for a certain consecration build. Stupidly so, to be honest. A single consecration can clear out an entire wave of enemies, and this is what we'll be focused on. Is this a meta build? Yes, but that's kind of the point. Fully invest into conk spam, inmost light synthesets class item, knockout and consecration aspects, and weapons to build up transcendent energy quickly. I also opted to use an eager edge sword here because again, low combat difficulty but a large area to cover. To get this encounter done most efficiently, you just need to know the paths. Once you defeat an ogre and a path is revealed, there is only so many set directions it can go. But it's just as simple as clearing out the enemy waves as quickly as possible, and you could even have a teammate stay at base and take out the wizard as soon as it spawns, if you're confident in doing so, or just roam as a team. Artifact support is not really too important in this encounter, it's all just the build itself. Customizations I have used here is Twilight Arsenal. This isn't so much for the super, but it is strong enough to instantly delete a Lucent Hive or a wizard, but more so it's for facet purpose. With a Void super equipped, this will provide an overshield whenever an overpower is collected, which is incredible for survivability. This of course used alongside Heavy Handed to generate the orbs, and Powerful Attraction to collect the orbs. You shouldn't really have any issues on this encounter using a powerful prismatic setup such as this one. Even at higher difficulty options, the amount of damage resist sources and high burst damage you have, you'll be powering through it. I hope that Bungie does change it to only require 3 statues activated instead of the current 4, as it does feel like it takes a bit too long to complete while not being particularly challenging. Moving on to the first boss encounter, Ecthar, Prismatic remains on for this one, but a few changes to the weapon loadout are required. But before I go into this, just a quick note. I am under the assumption that Lord of Wolves will be getting a nerf before this patch hits. But if this is not the case, then Lord of Wolves will probably be the go-to weapon for this encounter. So if that is the case, then just use that and spam to your heart's content. In the much more likely case that Lord of Wolves does get a nerf, the weapon setup I recommend will be the following. The boss DPS Legend of Acrius, as long as you have the catalyst. Otherwise Lament might be the better option. And for pre-damage, effective close range options. Personally I'd go with a glaive and rocket side-up. Gonna go a bit backwards here and start with DPS strats. As this whole encounter is very close range and quite chaotic, it's best to keep it simple. The build itself the same as the first encounter, so that you can utilise Consecration with Syntheseps boost to complement damage, but most of it will be coming from Acrius. Weave in 3 shots of this between melee hits, make the most of Trench Barrel, and it's a simple rinse and repeat. At the start of the damage phase, lead with the super. This will be enough to take out the boss's shield and chunk some of its health too. I know that Arbalist does do heavy damage to the shield, but remember that using this does remove the ability to utilise an exotic heavy weapon, and to me this trade-off is just not worth it. Especially on contest mode, survivability during DPS does need to be considered. Thankfully Acrius does also do a very good job of repeatedly staggering the enemies, and Consecration can both simultaneously deal heavy damage and remove surrounding ad threats. On top of this, remember that the base strand melee does in fact sever. Alongside the artifact mod Disruptor Spike, this reduces a combatant's outgoing damage by 52%, which is absolutely huge when dealing with a single boss target. Also having a teammate on well will help tremendously, but I mean we all know that already. Pre-DPS is much the same. It's all close range engagement with enemies pretty much begging to be lined up and consecrated. Additional survivability options are big here too. Break Angle can not only block the heavily reduced incoming damage, but can also freeze if you have a chill clip roll. And its melee attack is also boosted by Spirit of Syntheseps. If you have this, definitely use it. A weapon such as Lotus Eater with a combination of repulsor brace and destabilizing rounds is clutch too. This has both survivability with Void Overshield and for AoE damage of volatile rounds all in one. As for encounter mechanics, it's mainly just keeping on top of enemy spawns, especially with Lucent Wizards which spawn after the correct symbols have been activated in the underwater section. As for that section, it is best just to send down one person who has the symbol locations memorised, while the remaining two add clear during this time. Finally, Simmumah. The setup is changing completely here. It's time to bring out the season's meta options in Bolt Charge and Queenbreaker. This provides not only incredibly high and easy to execute damage, but also still has the survivability options required for an encounter such as this. This setup does more heavily crush on certain artifact options, so before starting the encounter, be sure to have these selected. Flashover and Defibrillating Blast to enhance the capabilities of Bolt Charge, and Particle Reconstruction so that Queenbreaker is hitting much harder. But really, those are the only hard requirements. The rest of the setup is a basic Arc Titan Bolt Charge spam build. Most of you will probably have something like this at the ready, as it's been so good for a lot of other dungeon encounters this season, such as the lock set. And again, starting with DPS, there's really not a lot to it. Ensure a decent starting spot either at the heart or head of Oryx, place a barricade, break the shields with your T-Crash super, and then point and click with Queenbreaker throughout the whole phase. The cover provided by Rally Barricade and Heal on Bolt Charge proc will keep you healthy throughout. Again, a well-locked teammate will make this even more comfy. The only considerations to make is ensure you have enough ammo, which if you're going for a one phase is pretty much a given, and have armor charges active alongside Arc Weapon Surge to further improve outgoing damage. For this encounter, pre-DPS is a much more difficult part and can be easily overwhelming, but is quite customizable in the fact that depending on how confident you are, the key changes you can make is if you want to take on mechanics solo or as a team. Taking on each part solo is more dangerous, but also much faster, while moving as a team will take longer but will be much safer, especially when dispatching of a Lucent Hive. Though with a build as powerful as this one, it is more than possible to just split up and take out all three Guardians simultaneously and save yourself a whole lot of time. Just be sure to check the Hive symbol before defeating the Guardian. The amount of times I've crushed the Ghost and not checked this, and then had absolutely no idea what symbol I've been dunking on, it's honestly embarrassing. You can keep with Ray Kangle and Lotus Eater as your kinetic and energy slot weapons, as these are just as effective as before. However, a Void primary weapon might suit you better if moths are an issue. Double Special does get the job done most efficiently, but having a spam shooting weapon to spawn kill those pesky moths can be critical. Something like Reckless Oracle or Grid Skipper will be ideal here. Same perk combo of Repulsor Brace and Destabilizing Rounds. Outside of encounters in the traversal sections, my best advice here is just try not to die of old age. Fingers crossed a shortcut is added to the encounters 1 to 2 traversal section for the Rite of the 9 variation of this dungeon because, holy. Thank you for watching.